Sagar, welcome to the
Yes,
show.
thank you.
I've
It's
known you for a
very,
very long time.
I know.
And,
I mean, it's been like one of the days which I mean, been thinking about for a very long time. I
yeah,
mean, so it's a lot of chats and I mean, in the French loaf, I've been talking about how when this whole podcast and thing is going to start and everything. Yeah, it's
right.
about time. I'm very happy to be here. Yeah.
So when I planned for this podcast, you were one of the first names that came into my mind to
Oh,
have on the guest list. Okay.
yes.
Anyway, for the viewers, I've known you personally, professionally. So for all the viewers, why don't you just give us a little trailer into your journey so far, where you started, what you studied, and first of all,
Yes. Yeah.
start by talking about how you decided to be a strength and conditioning coach.
Okay. Uh, so I mean, it's after my college. I won't say after my college. During my college days, obviously, I was extremely active. I was participating in sports, playing for the university. So my physical education coach said that you can. Um, I mean, you have the skill. Why don't you just participate? And you have the height. You can participate in volleyball, and you can participate in athletics, and you can participate in lifting. So I'm like, naturally, it just came to me. And, um, I wasn't like I was training with my friend who was a power lifter at that moment, and so obviously in that age, so when you see a friend lifting hard and you want to compete, and that's how it started. That's how the strength training started with, and I started reading about it, how whole thing works, and just the basic of whatever books you get, the magazines, and all the other resources with whatever that time it was available. And so I was inclining towards strength training and the gym and everything. Though that I was competing in athletics and badminton and everything, but then there was always some sort of a sports involved, multiple sports involved.
Yeah.
But naturally, I was inclined towards powerlifting. So I started with powerlifting, and I competed for my college. I did place some medals, but then those times there were no technique or anything in place. Like you just see someone how they do, and you see them, and you just ask them how do you do it, and you train with them. And slowly, it's something didn't sit well with me. I mean, I understood that you can do something about this, and you can really learn somewhere. That's when it started. I started reading books, and so the whole thing started. That was the time I started reading books. That's when I came to know about ACE, and I joined. That facility, there was some gym called private gym where I joined, and that's when it all started, basically.
So you've been through all styles of or different segments that
Yes.
anyone should go through: powerlifting, bodybuilding, Olympic lifting, track and field. So, in
Yes.
your experience, how important is it to go through different phases of training regimens like this?
Oh, this part I can't generalize this, but then for me it became so handy. To be a strength and conditioning professional, I would say that is the best route you can take. In the sense, me having that such sort of an experience, like participating in different sports and powerlifting and trying Olympic weightlifting for some good amount of time and doing some track and field. So doing all this actually gave me a good foundation how the human body works,
Right.
energy systems involved, and what are the um, naturally what are the things which can become counterproductive when you do train for a marathon, when you do train for a powerlifting. How what are the things that can do? So these small reference points you collect when you participate in these type of sports, and I would highly encourage anyone to not to just focus or specialize in just one sport or and not looking at the other sports. It's always good to learn and try different sports, and there's always so much you can take it from another sport and apply it in your sport.
Right. So, something related to the same topic. A major share of our profession has been in the capacity of personal trainer. Right when I started, right when you started, like most of us have been through that phase. So, at what point did you decide to narrow down your expertise to strength and conditioning? As we all know, SNC is a luxury in our field, at least in the Indian community. There are very few people who are practicing right now just as SNCs.
Yes.
So, for all the viewers who want to make transition from a personal training environment to a strength and conditioning landscape, what would be your suggestions and guidelines?
I would strongly. There is. I don't think there is anything. Of course, as a work, in the terms of how you work, the kind of population you work with is quite different from when you are a personal trainer or when you are a strength and conditioning coach. But even when you are a personal trainer, the basic stays the same. The basic foundation stays the same. Anatomy is anatomy. Physiology is physiology. So I would highly recommend and highly encourage everyone to make sure that they are very strong in their basics. When I mean basics, it's anatomy, physiology, psychology. That's the basics 101. So once the foundation is set, it is all comes down to what kind of population you're working with and what you're really specializing in. When it comes to personal training, the kind of population you normally cater these days is general population. And for general population, looks for they have specific requirements. I mean, most of the personal trainers, they deal with all kinds of ages, and they will quite generally, if you see these days, many have the pain related issues. So it's highly important that they understand pain and how it really how it really works, and how you closely work with your physiotherapist and make programs, and how you actually make their daily living better. But then when it comes to sports, when it comes to strength and conditioning coach, it naturally inclines towards performance and how you help an athlete become better. So it become better is very relative. Maybe a guy who's about to is normally, let's say, participating in a track and field, who doesn't believe in general strength training, and you are helping him to improve his athletic performance. That intervention, you have contributed it. So that is what it is. It's very relative, but the basic stays the same. It all comes down to what kind of population you are catering to, and I highly recommend all upcoming professionals to make sure their basics is strong, and make sure that you have a good mentor who will definitely save you years and years of time. And that would be my second advice. The first would be basics, and would be make sure that you have the right mentor in your life, especially when it comes to this profession, so who can guide you in the right way. Yeah.
Right. So, talking purely from a coaching perspective, when you transition from a personal training environment to a strength and conditioning coach's capacity, I'm sure there are some amount of baggage that you still carry in terms of your style of coaching. As a personal trainer, you would coach someone completely different than how you would approach an athlete. So I've had it, I've experienced it personally, to let go of certain traits of being a personal trainer and transitioning into a full-time SNC. So what in your experience are those things? How has it played to your advantage, and how has it become a roadblock in your coaching element?
Okay. So with personal training, again, I'm gonna take a little bit more answers from my previous answer. It is that because what happens is that when you work with as a personal trainer, you're very involved in the sessions. Not to say that you're not involved when you're a strength and conditioning coach, but then what happens is you're really doing the basic things right and over. What happens is when you move to the performance side, you are dealing with things which are already been performing and going well. Like, when you're training an athlete, unless he's an injured athlete or someone who's well, you're already forward, and you're designing performance related programs. Like, you're specializing in specific strength, or or running performance or elastic strength or max strength, something like that. But when you work with the general population, unless someone from the um, general population are asking you specific, um, they have a specific requirement, you might specialize. Or 90% of the time, you're just working with the basics, like
Yeah.
getting their primal movement, a squat, lunge, hinge, push, pull. You're getting that sorted. And if there is any pain, you're working around that. Especially, I think one of the big things which really, really, really helped me, which contributing a lot in my strength and conditioning, this side of my profession, is the pain management.
Right.
The Because the clients who comes to you, especially in the general population, they have the what do you call that? The pain related habitual, because of the habitual posture, and they have some back pain or knee pain. There's something there all the time, and when they approach you, they definitely look forward. Okay, they want to alleviate that pain, and they want to go to that. I mean, go away from that episode and have a very normal, pain-free life. And so normally, so what happens is that you read about it and you refine those skills. And the pain management is a big thing which is helping me a lot. And the second thing would be the basic training as well. Where with some athletes, some clients come to you and ask for you, I want to improve my max strength, my running performance, my marathon time. And you also work with these type of clients. And also as a personal trainer, some personal trainers work with athletes also, along with the
Yeah.
general public. So I've done that as well. And so and that blend also helps. So you sort of apply from something from here and something from there. And so there is always a lot of trade-offs from between each other. And two big things for me would be the amount of time I spent with building the foundation with related to basics and the pain management. Two things really helps me at the moment when I'm doing my SNC related work.
Right. So it's a hypothetical question that I have right now. So
Yes.
let me take you back to 2013, 14, 15 era. And given a choice to bypass the personal training days and straight enter into a SNC capacity, would you have done that, or would you have still chosen to continue the same path?
Okay. I would have done the strength and conditioning. The reason is very simple, because um, I think I have. I'm very excited and very thrilled and very always curious about what happens at the top performance level. Like, how an athlete is moving, and how, what kind of, what kind of contribution I can make in his or her life to achieve something. Of course,
Right.
conditioning is just a small part. But then, would I have? Okay, would it? Okay, whatever I'm doing now, would the personal training help me? Yes, absolutely, no doubt about that. But if I had the chance, I would have, chosen that. Yes.
Great, great.
I've always wanted it. So
Perfect. So let's shift gears from this segment and then move into a segment where we discuss what you're doing currently. So you gave us a sneak peek into your past. Would you tell us what you are doing, where you are working right now, and then we'll take things ahead from there?
yes. So now I primarily work with. I work at NCA, National Cricket Academy. I work with cricketers at from under 19, under 23, and men's senior team as well. Um, so it's purely strength and conditioning. That's my full-time work at the moment.
Great, great. So moving into the cricket-specific segment of this chat, there's a lot of difference between what we read and what we actually do on field, between theory and practice. So when it purely comes to training of a cricketer, how much of a gap there exists in theory and practice, considering their tight match schedule, dense calendar? What is your take on that?
Um, okay, it's a very interesting question. It's a very nice question. The thing is, like I was saying, the basics doesn't change. Of course, I understand when you see, for example, when I'm talking about biomechanical principles or the how the physiology works, the energy system works. You sort of have these guidelines, but there is no set rule.
Right.
When it comes to cricket, it's very different. You can't have any sort of a structured training per se. So when you take any periodization models like big periodization models like from Tudor Bompa or many big Medvedev, all these professionals, when you see that you have a linear periodization or undulated periodization, um, but those models have been developed using track and field athletes and who has like a one particular season and they prepare for a multiple or double periodization or to have two main events and the program is structured towards that. But when it comes to cricket, depending on what level the player is, they play most of the throughout the year. They have probably 2 months complete rest period. Even that time, they would want to work on the missing links like skill work. So you can't have a structured program per se. So the program has to work around their games. So if someone, yeah. So did it answer that question?
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's say we are in season, a tournament like IPL.
Yes.
Which was the season when you were with Kolkata Knight Riders?
The last one, 2019.
So could you just give us info as to what happens with the training regimen of the athletes during when the matches are going on during an IPL season?
Yes.
And so the prep that leads to the tournament, the preseason camp.
Yes. So I'm sure you know, so any event has an off-season period, pre-season period, in-season period. So with cricket, you hardly, unless the player has intentionally taken off and no, I want to work on the fitness and I'm going to train good 8 weeks and want to focus specifically on the fitness and I'm going to go back to my skill work. Very rarely that happens. The reason being, cricket is skill-dominated sport. The sense, the kind of motor development happens is you need time for that. So the moment when players come off for a long time, that kind of affects them when they go back onto the field. So there is always the slightest dose of skill work placed during even off-season or in pre-season, and in season, basically the fitness takes a back speed, the skill work dominates. So with regards to IPL, I'm sure everyone knows that's a T20 format where 20 overs bowled from both sides and it lasts for about 3 hours in the total duration of time, the amount of time it's played. But it's highly intense in nature. It's not like Test cricket or one-day internationals. It's very high burst of energy, highly adrenaline-based sport. What happens is during, especially pre-season, is when you have normally like 4 to 8 weeks of training, where athletes, cricketers come and bowlers work on their, both the bowling coaches and batsmen work on their specific part of their batting. And they work very closely with these skill coaches. As an SMC, our ultimate responsibility is to make sure that their workload doesn't go or doesn't spike rapidly. So that is one thing which we constantly look for, because anything you do too much too soon, there's going to be some sort of a risk, high risk.
Yeah.
I won't say you get injured. You can never conclude that. Many athletes get away with it, but it all comes down to how we manage. So if some athletes coming to us and in the previous assessment, so I should have actually pressed that particular point before. So we all do the initial testing.
Yeah.
The initial testing is extremely important so that you know your baseline measurements. From there, you can work towards, let's say, an athlete is low in his speed qualities, in his jumping qualities. So you do the program according to that. So you do the initial testing so that you know the baseline levels of their conditioning levels and their strength levels. And you have 8 weeks time to make sure this athlete reaches that level, and what are you going to do? So for every athlete it is different.
Right.
There is no one size fits all approach. For a bowler it is extremely different from a batsman. So the kind of program we design for a fast bowler is very different from a batsman. So we need to see those weaknesses. If there's anything that we need to press more in the upcoming 8 week program. Let's say if I see something, okay, his speed qualities are low. T20 is all about speed and quickness. He needs to definitely spend some time getting stronger, getting faster. And I would definitely communicate that to the coaches that this is what it is. This is the player's status, and we need to spend this time. And this is his plan. And what do you think? And from whatever, I'm sure they all have their inputs regarding his skill or her skill to play the sport. So he needs to work that much. So let's say if they say, let's say he needs to work 3 to 4 skill sessions of long skill sessions, or 3 into 30-minute sessions. Okay, let's say he's going to train in the morning.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to keep my session for every player during the pre-training pre-season time. Once we go in season, all you can do is maintenance. Trying anything new will be a huge risk. I won't say disaster. Because these guys are playing. It's one of the big moments in their life. So you need to be extremely careful with the amount of work they are doing outside the field. So all we do is maintenance work and make sure that they feel good, and the recovery sessions are important. And you have very such short turnarounds between matches. So you need to make sure that your recovery sessions are spot on. When they're good, they can train. Yes, of course you can have a session, but then the recovery plays a big role during the season. Then anything like a workout, more like a work-in sessions, not workout sessions. Yes.
Right. Great. So just like any other sport, I'm sure there is positional demand when it comes to cricket as well. So you touched upon the point of a training routine being different for a fast bowler compared to a batsman or a wicket keeper. So could you expand upon that a little more?
Yes. So I was saying, like, I will just talk about fast bowler. I mean, then we'll come one by one. So for a fast bowler, I'm sure you know that in cricket there are 3 formats. Like you have Test cricket, One-Day internationals, and T20s. Objectively speaking, from the data, fast bowlers' physical demands are the highest, following wicketkeeper batsmen and batsmen. This is in all formats of the game. When I mean what are the objective measures which we really look for is like the amount of distance they've covered, the amount of high intensity runs they have done, and the amount of impacts they have taken, and the total metabolic load, and the amount of calories they have burned. When you see all this, the fast bowler sort of physically they have a lot of demands. So having said that, knowing that the physical demands are going to be very high, when they are not prepared enough during the pre-season or throughout the season, if they have not maintained their physical fitness well, there are high chance that they can get injured when there is a huge spike in the workload. As simple as that. So I'm prepared to run hypothetically. I mean, it's just a totally different example altogether. Let's say if the world record in a powerlifting meet, let's say, for example, we know that national record is 150, or that particular guy who has lifted 150 kg is going to be there. I need to make sure that I do more than that to place a medal. So I do a preparation so that I can do that weight, I can lift that weight on that particular meet. Just like that. That's like, let's say, if I want to make a national record in 100-meter sprinting, I better run 10:3, or I'm not going to break the national record. So you prepare for that. So knowing that fast bowler is going to have these demands, especially in cricket, it's going to be grueling. It's going to be multiple spells. And on a good day, you will have a long spell. So how are you going to go through all these demands? So I'm just not talking about in fitness perspective, and also when it comes to skill accumulation also. He needs to be bowling that much. Even pre-season, how many bowling sessions he had? Did he work enough in terms of preparing the body for match fitness? So match fitness is different from the gym fitness. So anyone who works, I mean, if we go into 8-week cricket specific strength training program. When I put both athletes, they will be able to match pretty much the same when it comes to physical fitness, like vertical jump or anything, or a proper, well-trained individuals. But when it comes to match fitness, it's entirely different. So the cricketers do, fast bowlers especially, they do a lot of match simulation and they do a lot of skill accumulation. It has to happen simultaneously with the strength and conditioning work. So it's always a golden rule. When a skill accumulation takes the front seat, the strength and conditioning goes to the back seat.
Right.
And when both are moderate, you can basically manage easily around the fast bowler with the constant interaction, how you're feeling today. The constant communication is paramount. That's a whole new topic we can talk on. But then in terms purely with strength and conditioning, this is how we work with fast bowler. It's really understanding the match demands and making sure that athlete has done enough preparation in the pre-season and attacking the season with full-on preparation. That's what it is.
Right. So, in comparison with the classic periodization models, wherein you have a general preparatory phase and then you move on and make it very specific in nature, I'm assuming such transition doesn't exist in cricket, or even if it exists, it's present through the season. So what would be the nature of translatory exercises in cricket? So you spoke about match fitness and gym related fitness. How do you bridge that gap?
So to be honest, like most of the fast bowlers, mostly, I mean, they're always doing some sort of skill work throughout the season. And the amount of balls they bowl during the skill sessions is what it varies. So, like you were saying, when you were saying translatory period, you mean the transition phase, right?
Yeah.
So the transition phase, generally they go off from the bowling sessions. They play some different sports. They like to play soccer. They play some badminton, but of course it's going to be not a full-on intensity. But then there will be a very concentrated break before they go into the match. I mean, during the in-season. Like when I mean in-season, it's during the match. Let's say next week is going to be, let's say today is 2nd of August. Let's say my match is going to be 9th of August. From the next 1 week is going to be a slow taper. It's going to be there. And also the amount of balls bowled will gradually decrease. And the volumes will definitely decrease. And a little bit of strength and conditioning work will take place during that period. And again, there will be a sudden spike. Once they go into a match, they go fresh. That's how it normally is. But there is no definite off-season. There is no clear-cut off-season for a cricketer unless he or she wants to take that off-season. And I mean, that's where strength and conditioning coaches really come in when it comes to workload monitoring. They're constantly looking after their workload when it comes to their sleep, their eating patterns, their body fat, and the objective measures of their match workload. And they are constantly monitoring there's enough high spike. And you're constantly comparing that with the previous year. And you're seeing if there's any differences. So you're constantly monitoring all this. And if at all I'm seeing something, that's when you pull the athlete back and you have a long taper if you want.
Right.
Let's say the season was like a very intense pre-season. I would have a good 10-day taper for an athlete. But again, it's all going to work along with the skill coaches, how much he thinks that this guy can or this girl can bowl this much. He needs to do this much to bowl better during the match. And also athletes input. Some athletes would want to bowl till the match. They would want to bowl. So they have this innate intuition, like they want to bowl. So sometimes you can't really they believe in it and it works for them. Yes, but of course we are in a place where we are supposed to give inputs.
Right. So you touched upon the workload monitoring aspect. So unless you have the global load that goes through the athlete, which comprises of the skill, the tactical training, if there is any, or the strength and conditioning element to it, how do you track the load of skill session for a bowler? Other than,
Um,
in addition to the session RP product times method.
yes. So one thing which is the gold, I mean, no, I won't say it's a gold standard method, which is the method which has been used for years, is having a journal. I would ask if anyone, I mean, any athletes out there or any strength and conditioning coaches, I would tell them have an athlete should be maintaining a journal,
Hmm.
and with a proper calendar-based journal where you just write down what you've done that day and communicating the same to the your strength and conditioning coach. The first thing, and as an SNC, looking from outside, if you have resources like GPS or a heart rate sensor, you can constantly monitor them, and you can really take the objective measures of how much work they have done. When it's not there, I think I remember I've done um, um, a fair share of workload monitoring, just paper and pencil method, where I just have charts where the name and the amount of balls they bowled, amount of rest they've taken, and a stopwatch.
Right.
And let's say on a fine day, like you will have your 3 or 2 fast bowlers will be bowling on the skill session. You just need to constantly monitor them,
Hmm.
and I do that. At the same time, yes, when you only one guy monitoring everyone, it's impossible. But when, let's say, someone, this guy is going to be injury prone, I need to closely monitor, or coming from an injury, I need to monitor, then you would do that.
Hmm.
Yes. So these are the two best methods I can recommend. Yeah.
Yeah. So depending on the speed at which they're delivering the ball, uh,
Yes.
and the total cumulative number of balls they've bowled in a session, is
Yeah.
there a practice where you allocate a weighting factor to each speed bands, like 130 to 135 kilometers per hour, 135 to 140? Does that still exist? That mode of load tracking?
Uh, I mean, with I think with the speed gun, yes, of course, you can actually say that this is the amount of this is the speed which he or she bowling at. But then one good thing which you can closely see during the match is when a bowler throughout this spell, if he is constantly bowling at one good speed, constant speed, you can say, oh, okay, this guy is fit. You can
Right.
clearly say that. I mean,
Hmm.
not just with pure speed, and also, of course, looking at his running mechanics, looking at his stability, how he, after the stumble, how well he's balanced and recovering from the follow up. All these things you look for as an SNC. You look for the constant movement signs, and you look at all these things, and you can say, yes, he's actually able to bowl consistently at this speed. But
Hmm.
to answer your question, I'm not aware of the speed bands and how there is a technology to do so.
Right, right.
Yes, but with the
Uh,
speed, of course, yes, you can measure. Yeah.
right. So knowing what you know about cricket and cricket-related SNC right now, in hindsight, see, I never played uh, professionally. We've all watched cricket. We've all been very much involved in cricket just as viewers. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of SNCs within cricket fraternity who are from the field of cricket itself. They've
Yes.
played for extensive durations.
Yes.
And you come from a slightly different background.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when UFC PI was launched in Las Vegas, they had a very clear guideline put out saying we are not hiring anyone from the combat SNC field. They wanted new
Okay.
brains. They wanted people with fresh new perspective who had no
Yes.
clue whatsoever about wrestling, boxing, or MMA or anything. So they hired a team. So that was the strategy that they implemented. So similarly,
Yes.
what do you think the non-experience in cricket, being a cricketer, has played to your advantage or disadvantage in your career as an SNC?
Yes. Um, there is definitely some advantages and disadvantages. So when you are, I will talk about some advantages first. Advantages is because you played other sports, so you're bringing a lot of information from other sports, and you want to apply the basically you're looking for commonalities, and you're very much convinced about a particular model. And okay, for speed development, sprinters are I mean, when it comes to speed, we look at them, look at
Yeah.
Usain Bolt, and whatever principle they have done with speed development and conditioning, we can easily take it from them. So from weightlifting, I've done, so it was very easy for me to bring in and teach someone weightlifting.
Yeah.
And when it comes to powerlifting times, I've done enough number of squats and deadlifts and benching, and I know that it's easy to teach someone. And I know if something is going wrong. So in the weight room and the field, it was piece of cake. But the one big disadvantage, which following this, what happens when a guy or a girl enters the cricket fraternity is when not understanding the game, on understanding the game demands, what your body really goes through when you play a match. That is something, of course, when you play at the highest level, and I'm talking about domestic cricket and the international level, its elite level is when you understand the dynamics of it, the psychology side of it. That is one thing which normally, that was a slight disadvantage for me. I would only say slight. But then when you have an open mind, when you're ready to listen, when you're ready to ask out, or seek for help, and when someone can explain you what really goes through, and what happens after a game, what is the mindset of a cricketer, what is the mindset of a batsman or a bowler after a spell, after in a test cricket or in a multiple days, 3-day game, 4-day game, it's all about seeking for those information. When you collect a lot of information, you can definitely bridge that gap.
Right.
And the same goes with the someone who's coming from the cricket to an SNC. He or she basically needs to go other side and look for what are the commonalities exist from other sports. What are the things which I can take from another sport? So I think it's important for someone to have that sort of an open mind and having no ego or anything to just ask out. The moment when you have it, I think you can definitely bridge the gap.
Makes sense.
Yes.
So what do you think the scope of Olympic lifting is for cricketers and Olympic lifting derivatives?
Yes, I would say yes. That's second one. The Olympic lifting derivatives is what they should be. They should just stick to that. I say should. Yes, they should just stick to that. The reason being very simple, because you use the Olympic lifting derivatives for power training. It is about how fast you're able to move the bar. And what happens is when you're trying to move the bar fast, you are basically activating every single possible motor neurons in your body to move that thing. So it's what happens is really you're doing a neural training. That's what it is simply. So can I just simply move the bar fast? No, you can't. That's when technique part comes in. So Olympic lifting derivatives has its place in cricket specific strength and conditioning? Absolutely. Possibly it's one of the best strength training, best in-season training you can do for the whole body. And just 2 Olympic lifting derivatives, you're done. You're pretty much sorted. But then can you do just okay technique? Not at all. You should learn it from the scratch with a good coach. He or she is able to teach you properly with good foundational training for power training, which would be some max strength work, and moving into the Olympic weightlifting with good technique work, with just empty bar for months, and you are sorted.
Right.
And I would highly recommend anyone to include their Olympic lifting derivatives in their strength training program for power development.
Right. So you mentioned about Olympic lifting derivatives. So
Yes.
Within the sport of weightlifting, one is doing weightlifting as it is intended to be done.
Yes.
Weightlifting as weightlifting. Then you have further departure from the pure concept of weightlifting to what is specific for the sport. So let's say we're talking about a triple jumper or a high jumper. They're pure joint extenders. You wouldn't want them to jump under the bar and then catch it in a deep squat position. You would want them to explode the bar up and catch it where you pull it to. So similarly, when it comes to cricket, what derivatives are you specifically talking
about? I would, like you were saying, it's a very interesting point you just made, which is the in derivatives there is a lot of exercises. And triple jumper or a cricketer, unless he's a weightlifter or she's a weightlifter, they don't have to take the bar overhead.
Yeah.
And it was, catching the bar overhead has a lot of technicalities involved, and someone not able to punch the bar up and hold it tight, there's a lot of injuries can happen at that particular moment. And since it involves the shoulder, so you can just stick with pull variations, like just high pull, low pull. You can just stick with that variation. Just moving the bar fast will do the job for you. And I would, if you ask me, when someone is just starting out, I would just stick with snatch high pull, clean low pull from hand or from blocks or even from the ground, provided they are able to maintain a good posture at the bottom position. And I would just stick with pull variations. And when he or she is confident, you can definitely progress them to do the real power variations, it's like power snatch or power clean, because if they're having good mobility in their wrists and their shoulders.
Yeah. So talking specifically about power training, let's say plyometrics. So when I say plyometrics with an I, not plyometrics with a Y, the pure plyometrics for track and field athletes. Where does that fit into the life of or training routine of a cricketer? Not just jumping on and off a box, like pure drop jumps where you are expected to maintain a contact time lesser than 15 milliseconds. Such drills, where does it fit in? Or if it doesn't, why doesn't it fit in?
Yeah, it's a good question, really. Personally, if you ask me, have I given anyone depth jumps in the last 1 year? Only one I've given. The reason being simple, because to do depth jumps, to do drop jumps, or even hops, bounds, proper track and field quality, one, you need to have such elastic strength, and you need to have such good experience in performing them, because there's a lot of technicality involved. One of the main reasons why I stay away from this high-end plyometrics, the real plyometrics, like depth jumps and drop jumps, during season or even pre-season, or when the cricketer is playing enough in the year, they're already getting a lot of impacts. They're already receiving, especially for a fast bowler, they're already going through enough impacts. So I would just stick with, like consecutive broad jumps or bounds. I would never do depth jumps, or I would never do proper hops, forward hops, like a triple jumper anyone would do during in season. But pre-season, off-season, yes, provided that athlete has a good base of strength training and a good awareness and technical knowledge about these plyometrics, good training age, yes, you can definitely give them. It definitely has its place. Yes.
Great. So one down the ladder, strength. Yeah. How strong is too strong for cricketers? Generalizing across all positions.
Yeah. How strong is too strong? I think throughout the year, they need to be strong. Simple as that. But do they? It's only reference points. Okay, if you ask me, okay, do I have any research papers or any objective study has done on this particular statement which I'm about to say, is no.
Yeah.
I'm sure you would have also seen. It is just all hypothesis is what I'm about to tell you. It's just when they sort of do devote a good amount of strength training, have being too strong, my personal opinion, it doesn't help them. The reason is plain and simple, because cricket to me is quite skill dominated sport. It's a fine motor skill. It is.
Yeah.
It's a very fine motor skill. What happens is it's nothing. I wouldn't say. Let's say if someone have all the time. Let's say if it's not 24 hours, if we have 36 hours, our body cycle rhythm is different. I would have every day one session. But the only issue with that is the body has only a little bit of room to recover from these workouts. So any workout is a workout. So when you do a strength training, it is a workout. The body has to do some cycle, a process to go through the recovery. So when you place a skill session there, what happens is it sort of affects the quality of the skill session. So it's sort of it has an interplay to it.
Yeah.
So it's in a plain logic. Having a lot of strength sessions can affect the skill sessions which he or she wants to do. That may affect his batting or bowling in the upcoming match or whatever, or the preparation part. So that's what it is. But can someone play at the elite level without no strength training for the longest time? No.
Right.
At the moment, no way you can sustain that sort of a workload and recover faster. And again, within 2 days, you can go play a game. It's extremely hard. So fitness, the match fitness and the specific fitness for cricket is extremely important. Strength is important. But too much strength, it's very relative, I would say.
Yeah.
But should you be strong for cricket? Absolutely. There's no doubt about that.
Great. Now, talking about the locomotion demands of this particular game, I'm sure you would have looked at the distances that a fast bowler would cover during a session, and similar for a batsman. So, what sort of conditioning demands are there for cricketers?
So, like I was actually mentioning this one point, objective measures like distance covered and high intensity running, and the impacts. So, if you notice, the fast bowlers, they cover easily about 15 kilometers on a test match. Let's say if he or she is bowling, if he's bowling, like easily he'll cover close to about 18 kilometers. Those 18 kilometers are not completely running. It has a lot of walking, jogging, and everything.
Yeah.
But he would have covered close to about 1,000 meters of good running, anywhere from 20 to 24 kilometer per hour. Easily about averaging about 7 meters per second or 6 meters per second. I would say 5 to 7 meters per second. But they hit the peak speed of 7 to 8 meters per second at the time of delivery. So there's a lot of speed, and doing that over and over, you are hitting one specific energy system. You are going into an anaerobic zone, and you're going into an aerobic zone to recover the ATP, and again you're going into an anaerobic zone. There's a constant interplay of all the energy systems. The whole energy system, 3 energy systems is involving. So should I be focusing on just one energy system? No, I can't. So a classic, a used and well-established method is like you do a long to short, which is where you prepare someone for the upcoming intense work, which is long to short, where you cover the long distances and you move towards the short distances. So how we do is we do a sort of a blend program. So for most of them, like regardless of what position they are in, all cricketers must do some sort of an aerobic work and some sort of an anaerobic work. Do they have to do speed work? That's a big question. Because speed training is very specialized training. If someone is not prepared to do speed training, there are high chances that they can get injured during training.
Yeah.
So, yes, because of like high velocities involved, because of the hamstrings, preparation for that. So, any cricketer should do, regardless of what season they are in, it all comes down to how much dose do I have to give. Let's say if someone they're playing a scenario I'm just giving you. Let's say a pre-season time, I would touch upon all energy systems. 2 months before, I would have done some long distance running. I would have asked him to do some long distance running, like 10-minute constant run at this specific pace. So all this pace and these numbers, it all comes from their current status running. So that's why I'm able to give you any numbers. But then long distance running, in the sense, I basically hit their oxidative system. And when I come to close to the match pre-season or 1 month before the in-season work, I involve some good tempo runs at specific pace, like 40 meters to 50 meters, consistent pace and consistent running at one specific pace, not absolute pace. Absolute pace happens in the match. You can do that during the pre-season time, on the practice time, but their fielding work takes care of it. You don't want to go do that. Their fielding is intense. There is no light fielding anything as such. The fielding is intense. It's very competitive. So all the high velocities are taken care over there. But for a fast bowler, yes, you can involve a couple of reps of speed running. High speed running during these tempo runs, and you can give some tempo runs along with some aerobic work. Once in 10 days, you can give some long distance running. And you can give some mass runs as well, knowing their 2K running, and you can calculate that. I'm sure all the watchers know about it. And so tempo runs, mass runs, some acceleration work. Again, it's highly individualized. I look at a fast bowler. Okay, this is he comes and says, "Agar I'm not recovering fast. I'm not recovering fast." It can be multitude of reasons why he's not recovering fast. So we need to see what are the work you have done in the past 1 month. What are the type of SNC work you have done? I have not done much running. Okay, first let's just do some basic running done, and we can be a little specific. And mass runs is probably the one of the best ways you can, for a cricketer especially, you don't have to make it, because you have some space constraints, so you usually do mass running. You can do slow distance running on a treadmill, nothing bad about it. So it all comes with dose. And you can see the response of the athlete, and you over the time you have the data how this particular guy responded to this specific type of training, and you make a conclusion. Okay, I'm going to just give him this, so he's not going to get injured. He's going to prepare his body. He's going to get conditioned before the match, and he's going to hit checkbox like all the areas, and I'm good. So that is how I would recommend any SHC to approach training for a cricketer.
Great.
Especially in regards to conditioning. Yes.
Awesome. Just before the podcast started, I had to convince myself for half an hour to not turn this into a 24-hour chat, because I know I'm going to chat with you, and it surely will turn into a long chat, because we both can talk shop forever. Maybe what I think we should do the next round. I'm sure you will be a regular on this podcast. We should pick one topic, get polls going, and then see what the viewers want to talk about. Because when you were talking about conditioning, I had to hold myself back to not ask you 10 more questions related to that. So next round, next go about, we will specifically narrow it down to a topic and then extensively discuss it. So now, I have some routine questions that I have for you. Something on the lighter note. So at this point of your life, what bad habit or habits? By bad habits, I don't mean smoking and drinking and things like that. What habits are you trying to eliminate from your life?
Definitely too much thinking. I won't say procrastination. I'm little before. I'm a perfectionist. That is always been my. I wouldn't say it has worked well for me in few areas, but then it's also at the stage where I'm in, I should can be little easy on that. So one thing would be that, and of course too much thinking in the sense like about a particular thing, and I take a lot of time to bring the best. It's all about to really deliver the best. So just trusting the process, and just move on. I would definitely do that, and definitely have a ask for advice, in the sense of looking for the right people to really interact with. I haven't done a lot of interaction. In fact, us, we have only rarely we have spoken in the last few years because we both were extremely busy and everything. But then
Yeah,
I think it's important for any coach to reflect and share what they're feeling, and because the mentors and the friends and the kind of acquaintances we have on this field can save us so much time. And
definitely.
I would highly recommend anyone, for that matter, to have the connections and constantly interact with them and have a very open-minded conversation without any preconceived like notions about this is what it is, this what it is, and being having that acceptance and ready to change sort of an attitude should be definitely something which I'm looking for. I think probably this is the things which it comes off my head. Yeah,
Right. But the best part about your bad habit, it
yeah,
saves me and whoever are within our friend circle a lot of time. Because if I have
yeah,
to take a decision in my life, and if you've already done it, I just need to
yeah.
pick up my phone and call you. Let's say I have to pick up a car or
Oh,
look
yeah.
at a house. I just need to give you a call and you'll have the answers ready for me. I don't have to do my share of research because you would have done it to at the cellular level.
Thanks. Thanks. That is really like really at least little happy about that. So
Great.
that happens all the time. My friends do that. Like yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. What is your biggest fear that you have in your life right now?
Because fear, oh man, that's because fear. Oh,
You can take your time.
yeah, because fear. Oh, nobody have asked me that question. Oh, because fear. Me, like becoming uh, going too much into my subject. Like I don't spend enough time. Definitely don't enough time other than the strength and conditioning gym and my cameras. So I just revolve around this three at the moment. I should definitely. I feel like I'm losing out of. You have that FOMO, like fear of missing out. Okay, am
Yeah,
I
yeah.
missing this in life? Yeah, there's definitely that. Like I'm not spending really enough time with my friends and going out, explore places. Those kind of things is what it's there in my mind at the moment. I think I should really like sit back a little bit, relax. Okay, it's enough now. I think I've done quite an amount of work in my area. It's just application is what I need to do, and I can just relax. That is one fear which I might miss out on a lot of moments which is happening around me. That's one fear. It's there, definitely there. It comes
Right.
often now these days. Yeah, probably because I'm the first one, I guess.
So let's say you have a hypothetical to-do list which you have to review on a daily basis. What would it comprise of? 3 to 4 things that your to-do list probably will have.
Yeah. The first thing would be in my morning reading. My morning reading sort of sets my day for me. So when I wake up, I have my morning routine, like get up, take shower, you do some meditation, and you sort of align yourself. Because every day is different for me. It's like one day I wake up with some thoughts, and some days like you wake up, but that meditation and that alone time with my coffee sort of sets my day. And definitely reading first and planning the day. Okay, which is what I have to do. That second thing would be that, and definitely my workout
Mm.
uh, and spending time with my new developed hobby, which is with my cameras and working with my cameras. And
Oh, great! That's a newly picked up
yeah,
hobby.
yeah.
What do you
For the
do?
last
What do you do with your
2.5 years.
camera?
So I shoot some. I shoot. Usually shoot digital, but then now in the last 5 months, I've been shooting film. So now this new uh, uh, love towards film cameras. So I've been shooting a lot of film and developing them. And now my interests have moved towards medium format. So I'm looking at medium format cameras and
That's great.
uh, yeah. So that has been my like sort of escape from all the um, stress, which I won't say stress, from just like a good break for me. Like not really
Yeah.
turn the head completely from away from it and deeply involved in my canvas. Yeah, my
That's a good
photography.
one, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let's say you were restricted to do just one exercise for the rest of your life.
yeah.
What would that be?
Only one exercise.
Just one. Could be anything.
Snatch.
Great.
Any day. I don't think I can ever, yeah, be without snatch. I need to snatch at least once in a week. Snatch twice in a week now.
Great,
Yeah.
great. That's a good choice. So, as a concluding question for this show, what would be your advice, suggestions to upcoming SNCs in India? So, the whole initiative of this podcast is to connect people in and outside India and to just
Yeah.
expand the network of SNCs in India. So, for
Yeah.
people who are watching this, what would your advice, suggestions be?
Yes. There's a lot of things when you were actually asking the question. There were a lot of things in my head. So I'm going to just say whatever comes to my head. But whatever I'm about to tell you, all this thing now or later will definitely help you. And I'm also not going to say things which are not done, because I'm going to say
Yeah.
only things which are done. It just worked for me and also worked for many others. The first thing I would be is become extremely resourceful. Be extremely inquisitive. That's one thing which I would say. So when let's say when you hear something, like someone talks about sprinting, and it's it's important that you go read about sprinting, but from good resources and good books. So that would be the first one. Second one, when I say resourceful, become resourceful and invest your money in some good resources and good books, and definitely subscribe to some good journals, some good. Only read some peer-reviewed articles, some good reviews, systematic reviews, and meta-analysis about a particular topic you want to know. Evidence-based research, and it's extremely important when you're dealing with the top athletes in the world, or when you're interacting with some of the best coaches in the world. They look for that. So I wouldn't say anecdotal evidence is bad. You need to interact with some coaches also, what they're doing in a real time application. But then it's important that you take both and you come into a decision. So go for invest in good resources. And third, find your mentor. Because your mentor, like I was saying, can save you years and years of time. Because they have done already all the back end work for you.
Yeah.
And they can save you years and years of time. And so I would really tell anyone to find your mentor, and trust them. Don't have any sort of okay, should I do this? Should I no? It's like one like the one dimension, one approach. Like trust trust their insights and the things that they have done, and wholeheartedly be involved and work. And would be that. So third would be mentor. And I think these are the three very important things being an SNC to you becoming an SNC. Of course, certifications and everything will come. You will eventually will do it. But these three things, regardless of whether anyone is there in your life, you can definitely become. I mean, you will be. You can definitely will reach a place. I can't say, because I don't want to say that this is it. No. And fourth, a very important thing, which I don't know, I can't believe I didn't mention that, is do not miss your training. You need to train. Many say, I don't have to really train. Without training, I can, I can understand the concept and I can apply. With a lot of reference points I can do. It's like, I'm going to have my opinion on this, and I don't think anyone can change my opinion on this. If you have not trained enough, I won't say that you don't have to really compete to be a competitive athlete. You don't have to really go and participate in big tournaments to really call yourself an SNC coach. Are you really have trained that hard, have you participated in a marathon? Have you trained for a marathon? Participating is different. Have you trained for a marathon? Have you trained to participate in track and field event? Have you trained to compete in a bodybuilding competition or a weightlifting competition? Have you gone through the process? Have you done the meal planning? Have you followed a nutrition plan? That is extremely important for any SNC, or for anyone who wants to become an SNC, because the amount of reference points you will collect will become absolutely is enormous, and it's an asset to yourself. It is something you're doing it to yourself, and I would highly, highly, highly recommend that. And
Great.
that would be my, that's it.
Awesome. Where can people find you if they want to disturb you with their questions, if they have any, after this chat?
Yes, they can definitely email me or contact me. With my WhatsApp number, or they can definitely email me. I will definitely share the email ID. And if they need any help with regards to SNC guidance, or what to read and what I'm reading, what they want to know, or something they're currently dealing with, reconditioning, return to play. Any suggestions and any resources, I'm ready to definitely guide them. They want.
Great, Sagar. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
It's one of my, I think probably one of my, I had a great time, definitely. It's been a long time. Really.
I have 7-8 questions that I left out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
So we will save those questions for the part 2 of this chat.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, can't wait to get back, definitely.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for making the time for this.
My pleasure.